Hello, I am Gwen Raymundi. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist associate here in the state of Washington, and I am creating this 5-part video series called Becoming Unleashed. That is associated with an essay series under the same name. That is an introduction to the different topics that we'll be exploring in my next 6-month circle called Becoming Unleashed. That begins on September, when does it begin? September 22nd. And includes a 3-day in-person retreat here in Seattle in early November. This first video, I am going to talk about the process of, sort of the process of, but also what is individuation. And individuation has many names. You may have heard that term. You may have heard the term differentiation. You may have heard the term self-actualization or self-awareness. They are all very similar concepts, and yet, of course, each has their own little unique twist, right? Individuation is a term that was used by Jung and also Freud and others at the beginning of psychology. The beginning of psychology. And Jung's definition of individuation is the moving from unconsciousness into consciousness. So moving from a space of reaction into intentional process and reaction, moving from a place of doing as we're told because we were told to a space of doing as we choose to do. Right? It is the knowing of our own minds. It is the understanding our unconscious drives to the best we can. It is being whole within ourselves, being deeply connected to our whole self, body, mind, spirit, soul, being very much an integrated and whole person, right? Being connected to all of those parts of ourself. Differentiation is a term that was used mostly by Murray Bowen, and it is basically individuation, but as it relates to our family. I'm not sure what I just said, but differentiation is basically individuation, but as it relates to our family. And so it is the process of differentiating ourselves as becoming an individual from our family unit and being able to make the decision about family values, family conditioning, all of that, if it is right for us as the individual person. There is the concept of self-actualization, and if you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and the concept of self-actualization is at the top. It is that idea of knowing oneself, right? Of being fully connected to our, quote, human potential. It is that, again, knowing our minds, not being driven by unconscious motivators, all of that. Self-awareness is then being aware of self, right? And understanding our unconscious motivators and all of that. So each of these terms is a different way of saying essentially the same thing, right? It is moving away from our cultural, familial, ancestral conditioning that lives in our minds, in our bodies, in our spirits, in our souls, and moving into a conscious state of being and of mindful choosing as we are able, right? As part of this, if we step back and look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, at the base are the basic needs of food, water, shelter, right? We need those things, air. We need those things to exist. to survive. That's at the base level. At the next tier is a sense of safeness or safety. We need to feel that our bodies are safe, and our bodies actually need to be safe in order for us to survive, right? We can't be eaten by wild predators, right? We actually need to be safe from them in order for us to live. The third tier is a sense of belonging, that we need a sense of belonging. We need to have a sense of community. We need to feel that we are a part of and connected to other human beings. And those three are basic human needs for survival. We actually cannot survive without a sense of belonging, especially infants. If you look at attachment theory, that is all about the sense of belonging, right? That we have that loving mother's gaze upon us, right? That we, or father's gaze, or some caretaker's gaze, right, upon us, letting us know that we are okay, that we are, that our needs are going to be taken care of. That is all about belonging in a very real sense. We actually do not need, for human survival, to have self-esteem, which is the next layer, or self-actualization, which is the very top of his hierarchy, his pyramid. Self-esteem is really about boundaries and about honoring ourselves and feeling our sense of deserving. And that self-actualization is that next deeper piece of looking at the unconscious and bringing it into consciousness. We don't need to do either of those things to survive as a species. We don't need them. We could never, ever, ever do them, and we would continue to live and breathe, right? However, living and breathing is different from thriving in our lives. It is different from having a sense of pleasure in our lives. It is different from being connected to the present and being truly connected to ourselves and to the world, right? So, so being able to live is one thing, and then this other piece is where the self-esteem piece and the self-actualization piece come in. I say that because often to have a sense of belonging, we need to give up aspects of ourself. In order to belong to a particular community, we need to put on the face of a particular either part of ourself or not part of ourself, but we need to present in a certain way, right? Um, this is why cults work, right? It is an authoritarian way. It can be an authoritarian way of being, where if you ask questions or you dissent or you resist or rebel in any sort of way, you're out, right? That's how authoritarian culture works, is it holds that sense of being, belonging in its fist, and it says, and if you act out, you're out of here. Right? And because we need community to survive, that's a survival thing, we go along with a lot of shit that maybe we wouldn't otherwise go along with. This is part of why I feel that it is deeply important for us to find our people and communities where we are able to show up as we are, where we don't have to, where we don't need to, where the stories of how we're too much, not enough, and all the shame that we carry aren't reinforced, right? Individuation is really a space, and self-actualization is a space of really unraveling those stories and not allowing those stories to control us or to dictate how we are responding and being in the world, right? So it is important to be able to find those people and those community spaces, be that one person, be that 1,000 people, right? Whatever that looks like for us, where we are accepted as we are, and where we can ask questions, where we can dissent, where we can say yes, no, maybe, right? All of that. And that once we were in that space and we are practicing that asking of questions and that saying yes, no, maybe, and as that is encouraged and celebrated, then we can continue that deeper boundary work, right, of self-esteem and that deeper connection to what we want and who we are, right, and feeling good in our skin, right? That's all part of self-esteem. And then as we work through that, we can then begin to do the deeper self-actualization work of, excuse me, of pulling the unconscious into consciousness, and to understand, really understanding the why we tick the way we do, right? Why we talk the way we do, why we, like TikTok, not as in speak to talk, right? Why we are the way we are, and what conditioning and stories have come along the way that have molded us and that have gotten into our skin and into our psyches and into our being, and then unraveling those and kicking them out. And also it is, so that's kind of the release spot. It is also the reclamation, the reclaiming of our strengths, of our power, of our daring, of feeling proud of who we are, of feeling confident in who we are, of all of that, right? That is also part of that. And then there is also the middle piece that I call the goo, or this place of revolution, right? Where we are in the in-between. We're not in either or space. We're in a really uncomfortable space of not being in this place anymore, but not quite being here yet, right? And I'm going to talk about each, the release, the goo, and the reclamation. Each are going to have their own videos that will be following over the next couple weeks. And all of them are part of individuation. All of them are part of self-actualization. All of them are part of self-esteem. All of them are part of connecting to our whole self, right? That is all part of this work. And even though I am presenting them in a linear fashion, right? And even though we will move through the work in a semi-linear fashion, the reality is we are in each of these places all at one time, right? Even in the same aspect of our life, we are in each of those places, right? And so it is important to recognize that this is not a lockstep. First we do this, and then we do that, and then whoo, we're free, right? That's not how this work works. This is a lifelong process. We get 6 months together in this circle, and so we will be dipping our toes in and actually really diving pretty deep into some of it as we unravel and do this work, right? Do this work of letting go, getting rid of, dislodging those stories that we all hold within us about how we should be, or how we shouldn't be, or how we're not good enough, or how we're way too much, or how we're not enough, or how, right? All of that. And the shame that we carry about who we are, right? And the shame that we carry for even having the audacity to exist, right? All of those are things that we'll be exploring in this circle, and all of that is part of the self-actualization, individuation, differentiation, self-awareness, right? Process, or processes, yeah, something like that. Okay, if you'd like to learn more about the circle, there's a link down below, depending on where you're seeing this. And there's an application process. There are 9 questions on the application. You have the option to have a 30-minute Zoom video call, discussion, whatever, with me about whether or not the circle is right for you, or any of your thoughts, questions, concerns, any of that. So please reach out if you have any questions. I'd love to connect. And that's it for today. Okay, sending you love, and I'll see you in this series in a week.